happy about it. I actually think the Red Sox might not suck this year.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz.
Me.
Presented by Bigelow Tea, Jackson Lumber, Blue Moonlight, Wellesley Testosterone, FindMassMoney.com, Gem Plumbing, and by Golf. On Boston's home for sports, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
2. And popped him up. Into short right. Coming on. Meyer's still coming, and he'll make the catch. And that's the ball game. Final 5-3. Miami wins on a Sunday. Red Sox were hopeful of the sweep. This one, even though the Red Sox take 2 out of 3, leaves a rather bitter taste. Red Sox had a victory in hand, but the bullpen could not lock it up. Miami scores 3 times in the 9th. They grab the finale.
Yeah, Crochet deserved better. He threw the ball really well. So did Junk. He came ready and matched, went toe-to-toe with Crochet. Not a whole lot of offense in this one, and yeah, the bullpen just not having Aroldis, that one hurt. That's a tough way to lose it.
Without Chapman available, the Red Sox cannot lock up the win.
So that's the story of the weekend. Aroldis Chapman unavailable. The Red Sox end up taking 2 out of 3 from the Miami Marlins instead of a 3-game series sweep, all of which leads me to one very simple question at the start of the baseball hour tonight. 617-779-0985. Phones are open right away. So call into the program. I've been off for a series of days. Had some, it wasn't really the summer of Maz last week, Jimmy Stewart. It was really more of, we had to move my son into college. That's what it was. So I was gone for most of the week doing that. Not that that was a heavy lifting or labor, but you get the idea. I have a lot to catch up on with the Red Sox.
The obligations of dad, not the
Correct.
summer of Maz.
That's right. Exactly right, Murray. Good way to put it. The obligations of dad, not the summer of Maz. Very good, Jim Murray. So here's my question to start the baseball hour today. And really, you can help me catch up on the week. Red Sox lost 2 out of 3 to the Astros. They come home. They end up taking 2 out of 3 from the Marlins. But overall, the last dozen games, I think they're, 4-8? I don't think they've played all that well. They're in basically what amounts to a 3-way tie for the top wild card spot, more of which I'll get to in a moment. But my question today, coming off the weekend, my primary source of agitation is this. Why is Isaiah Campbell still here? Why is Isaiah Campbell on the roster? Can someone answer me this question? This whole thing yesterday happened because Aroldis Chapman had to be brought into a game that he shouldn't have otherwise had to pitch in. As a result, he wasn't available yesterday. And so Greg Weissert and Steven Matz were available at the end of the game, and they blew the lead, and the Red Sox lost a game started by Garrett Crochet, which, frankly, they have to win pretty much every time out. And I keep giving you this statistic on Garrett Crochet, but I'll give it to you again. The Red Sox right now are 11 games over 500 for the season. With Garrett Crochet on the mound, they are now 16-9. They were 16-7. They've lost the last 2. And you know what happens when the Red Sox lose Garrett Crochet's outings? They slump. So they're now 4-8, 4-8 in their last 12 games. If they win both of Crochet's starts during that span, you know what the record is? 6-6. They have 2 more wins, 2 fewer losses, and they're, 13 games over 500? So that changes the scenario, and you're in first place in the wild card race, instead of basically tied with New York and Seattle. Why is Isaiah Campbell still here and pitching in any game in which the Red Sox have a lead? And before this sounds like before you interpret this as a criticism of Alex Cora, it's not. It's about the fact that Campbell's on the roster at all. So I looked up this stat earlier today. Isaiah Campbell, during his time with the Red Sox, has pitched in 14 innings, which in and of itself should tell you plenty. Last year, they weren't a very good team. And for the first half of this season, that's a stretch, first third or quarter of this season, the Red Sox weren't very good. But in those 14 innings, Isaiah Campbell is became one of 780 pitchers in the major leagues. Listen to this closely, okay? 780 pitchers in the major leagues over the last 2 years have pitched at least 14 innings. It's a very low threshold because Campbell has only pitched, I think, 14 and a third, which should tell you plenty. The point being is he's really not a big leaguer. The Red Sox know this. They're in a playoff race. They're no guarantee to make the postseason. So they're 3 up on the team that's out, but they're tied with New York and Seattle, as I said. And yet Isaiah Campbell is put in what effectively is a mop-up role, except that the Red Sox had the lead. He gets boxed around a little bit. The game gets closer, and Aroldis Chapman has to come in and close the game on Saturday as a result. And so you know what happened? On Sunday, Chapman was unavailable to pitch. Alex Cora had to rely on other people who then blew the game. And the Red Sox, instead of sweeping the Marlins, only took 2 out of 3. Now, you can cast that aside and say it was just one game. But I would tell you, you don't have that many to give away anymore. The Red Sox, did you know, only have 37 games left in this season. And even if they make the playoffs, that top wildcard spot should mean something to you. The team that finishes first in that wildcard race plays the first round, the mini-series, the 3-game series, plays the whole series at home. Remember, the Red Sox have not been in the postseason under the new playoff format. The last time they were in 2021, they hosted the 1-game play-in, and they beat the Yankees decisively. Fenway Park made a difference in that one game. This year, the Red Sox are 41-23 at home. They're 27-34 on the road. That's a 12.5 game difference in the standings. 12.5. It's huge. So if you're a Red Sox fan and you don't think that every game matters at this point, you're not paying attention. That game yesterday mattered. From here on out, they all matter. And it matters relative to the Yankees and the Mariners, even if all 3 teams get into the playoffs. Because if you finish first in that group, you will open at home. And again, at home, I think we can all agree they have been a completely different ball club. So how is it that the Red Sox have a guy like Isaiah Campbell on their roster when they really can't pitch him in any kind of game other than one that they're losing significantly in? They are in a playoff race, and they have a guy like that on the mound on Saturday in a game that was still in the balance. Now, I recognize they were up by a large amount. Okay, they had a big lead. Cora undoubtedly thought it was safe to put him in, but it wasn't. And again, I'm not really blaming Cora for this. What I'm blaming is the fact that Isaiah Campbell is here at all. Are you telling me the Red Sox can't do better than Isaiah Campbell, who ranks 777th out of 780 pitchers in earned run average among those who have pitched at least 14 innings since the start of 2024? I don't know that I ever really finished that stat when I was giving it to you the first time. So again, let me put it to you this way. 780 major league pitchers, 780 have pitched at least 14 innings over the last 2 years. Only 3 of them have had a worse ERA than Isaiah Campbell. And he's pitching for the Red Sox with a playoff berth at stake and home field advantage at stake as they enter, let's call it, the final 6 weeks of the season. That is the problem. And then yesterday, as a result, Steven Matz and Greg Weissert are on the mound in a closing situation because, again, Whitlock, Chapman, the big one, Chapman's unavailable. So you don't have better options than that at the end of the game. You needed help in the bullpen at the trading deadline, and the answer was Steven Matz. Dustin May is now in your rotation. He pitches tonight. But that unwillingness or inability to add pitching at the deadline or to just bring up someone from the minor leagues who's better. Now I drew a blank, Jimmy. They're better than Isaiah Campbell. That's all you need is someone better than Isaiah Campbell. And for all the bitching everyone has done about the Red Sox and their unwillingness to spend or what have you, they still have plenty of money. They spend plenty of money on the roster. Isaiah Campbell throws breaking stuff 70% of the time. They're afraid to let him throw a fastball. Why is that guy here in a market like this with a playoff spot on the line? That's the part I can't get by. And that decision cost you a game. So if you finish one out and the Yankees get home field or the Mariners get home field and you have to go on the road where you've sucked and then you lose in the first round, you can look back at other games for sure, but this one too. What a freaking giveaway that was. Really. You wanted to give away the game on Saturday. Let alone, and as a result, you ended up giving away the game on Sunday. And I know there are those of you out there who will say, Alex Cora should have pitched Chapman 3 games in a row. We had a call like that today. I'm telling you, it's not how it's done anymore. It's not the manager's decision half the time anyway. Somebody's already laying it out for him, who's available and who's not. It just doesn't work that way. The bottom line is you didn't have enough pitching. You didn't have enough pitching, or you made a bad choice in keeping the guy on the roster that you kept on. So, we'll get to the other members of the arson crew known as the bullpen. 617-779-0985. Possible realignment in Major League Baseball with an interesting scenario. We'll get to that a little bit later. And Marcelo Mayer, out for the year, and we'll tell you why you should be worried about him going forward, not backward, forward, as his Red Sox career develops. Again, 617-779-0985 tonight on the Baseball Hour.
A panel of experts.
Oh, I like this.
It's the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz on the Sports Hub.
Sox trying to pin down another home win and sweep the series. They lead at 3-2. Weissert on to do that. The 0-1 to Myers. High fly ball. Pretty well hit. Long run. Cedon going back. And that ball is gone. Home run for Myers. He gets a measure of revenge, and he has tied the game 3-3. His sixth home run of the year. So could not make the catch to prevent a home run, but he gets one of his own here. And we're dead even.
He has a slider left over the middle of the plate by Weissert. See where this pitch is. Starts in. When you're a right-handed batter, you're looking for that slider to start at you to be a good pitch to hit. That was the one, and he covers it to right center. That's a big boy homer for a righty.
As soon as that happened, you knew it was going to be trouble. In fact, I would say as soon as you knew that Chapman wasn't coming into the game, Red Sox were kind of out of options. And to get to your calls, let me just give you this real quick. I've said this a million times. Relief losses. The one-loss record of your relievers, and I mean that collectively, the bullpen one-loss record, always an important stat. Because the losses are games that you were leading. The wins are ones that were comebacks or tied. You get the idea. The game's in the balance. So that one-loss record for your bullpen is always an interesting stat. And I can tell you this. It also matters with individual relievers. So, for example, Weissert this year has 4 losses. For a reliever, it's a little on the high side. I mean, it's not egregiously high, but I think the major league leader in relief losses has 7. It's Robert Garcia with Texas. And there are a few other guys with 6. When you get 4, you're starting to creep into that territory. You get the idea. So a lot of guys in the major leagues, and a lot of them, you pitch a lot, you're going to get some losses along the way. I don't even know how many Chapman has, but Chapman's number's got to be ridiculously low. I'll see if I can. Let me check that quickly in terms of Aroldis Chapman. Because his number, he's got 2 losses this year. But again, I would tell you that he has been phenomenal. Last year he had 5. He kind of sucked for Pittsburgh. So you don't want to get, you start getting more than a couple. Usually an indication that you're failing in the later innings. You start giving up 3 or 4 games. So Weissert gets in there. He didn't get the loss yesterday, by the way. Or actually, I take that back. He did. His runner was on base, so he got the loss yesterday because after he left the game, having already blown the lead, he got the blown save. Steven Matz came in and did this.
Left-handers 2-2 on the way. Swinging a drive out to right field. That one socked way back, and that ball's gone. Marcy coming off the bench. How about this? That is a 2-run homer. And Miami slugging away here in the 9th with their second home run of the ball game, and they lead it 5-3.
That's a heck of a swing from Marcy. That's a 2-seamer from Matz. It's off the plate in. It's not even a strike.
The second home run of the inning.
Watch where this pitch is. 2-seamer in, off the plate. He pulls the hands in, keeps this thing way fair.
Okay, now I will tell you, and this is courtesy of Matt the Stat, a longtime listener who now writes for, what is it, Jimmy, SB Nation?
Yeah, Over the Monster.
Over the Monster. Matt tells us when the Red Sox acquired Steven Matz from the Cardinals, Matt the Stat told us that, and you can read about, he wrote about this on their website, overthemonster.com. When the Red Sox acquired him, Matt the Stat told us that Steven Matz is not good under pressure. You know what yesterday was? It was the first time with the Red Sox that he entered a game in the 7th inning or later, and where the score was tied or the Red Sox were in a save situation. Okay, you got the difference there? So basically, the first time he's pitched in the last 3 innings of a game in which the game was tied or the Red Sox were in a save situation, and he blew it. He blew it. Now, they started the inning in a save situation. Obviously, when he got in there, the game had already been tied, but you get the idea. And he failed. So that one, again, you look at the deadline, say, what did the Red Sox do to improve their staff? And the answer is not much. Dean in Shrewsbury. We'll kick it off with Dean tonight on Trevor's story. Go ahead, Dean.
So originally I was going to call in on Mayer for Joe Ryan, which McCarthy and I both agreed is a good idea. But this email about Trevor Story crawled right up my ass. Trevor Story sucks and blows. He has a OPS that's below average in the second friendliest hitter's ballpark in the game. He can barely get the ball to first. Every time they hit it to him at short, I'm freaking out that the runner's going to beat it out. And his range is no good. So Trevor Story sucks and blows. I don't know what this emailer's talking about.
Okay, so Dean, thank you for the support. For those of you who don't know, at the end of Felger and Maz, we had a listener email asking me whether I had recanted my criticisms of Trevor Story, whom I've been pretty hard on during his time in Boston. And what I said was he's having a good year. Now, Dean would tell you otherwise, that Trevor Story is still not having a good year. I would tell you that there are a lot of things to look at with Trevor Story. No one ever talks about the fact that Trevor Story never walks. You ever notice that, Jimmy Stewart? Nobody.
I couldn't tell you the last time he did.
Okay, again, his walk rate is absurdly low. He never walks. So he strikes out a ton and never walks. So what does that tell you? He has terrible command of the strike zone. And I would say he always has. Trevor Story to me is in a lot of ways not a refined baseball player. He's more of an athlete that plays baseball, but whatever. And yet I will still tell you, he's been overall pretty good this year. But I would also say if you look at him relative to the other shortstops in the big leagues, and again, I'm just giving you the modern metrics that everybody wants to tell me matter. In WAR, he ranks in the middle of the pack among all major league shortstops. He's 17th. There are 30, obviously 30 starting shortstops in the big leagues. He might be 15th, but whatever. It's in that area. I already logged out of it. I'll see if I can punch it up for you.
You said it was 15th in WAR in baseball. I will tell you, Tony, like based on he's had some important hits this year, and you might look and see Trevor Story get some MVP votes this year. Okay,
Jimmy, I don't dispute his importance to the team. I really don't. I'm not being a wise ass. He's had a pretty good year. I mean, again, I don't know that I would call, but I will also tell you, again, 15th in WAR in the major leagues. In the American League, he's 7th, which is right in the middle. 15 teams in the league. So his WAR is actually lower than Xander Bogaerts. Now, Bogaerts with the Padres. And you want to tell me that you think Story's raw metrics, his volume stats are higher, more home runs, more RBI. True, they are. Bogaerts walks more and a lot of that stuff. They're pretty close, but you get the idea. I think that, and yet I will tell you, I think that those numbers are kind of unfair to him. I think he's been pretty good. He's had a pretty good year. The biggest thing is his availability. He's been out there a lot, which is good. Joe and Lincoln. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Tony, well, first of all, before I give my criticism, I worry, I guess. This has been such an enjoyable Red Sox team to watch. It really has. And watching their growth, how they've improved. And Trevor Story is a great example. Yeah, all that stuff you're saying is true, except at least a while ago, he was leading the league in starting double plays. And when he goes to the backhand and makes that great throw, it looks good. It's fun to watch. And this Red Sox team is fun to watch. Okay, I've got that off my chest now. Sorry. Let me get to the negative. Okay, the Garrett Crochet. I mean, nobody's talked about this. He's exceeded his innings pitched that he's ever done. And I think he looks it. He just hasn't looked the same dominant pitcher the last couple of games. I'm kind of curious what you think about that.
Okay, so Joe, I actually thought he was good in the last game. The Astros game is a different story. And if you want to say you're concerned about what happened there, you should be. He got slapped around pretty good, especially early in that one. So, but I would tell you that in the last game, he should have won over the weekend. That wasn't his fault. He goes deep into the game, 7 innings. He gives up 1 run. He leaves with the lead. That one wasn't on him. Now, granted, it's the Marlins, but look, you can only gauge him overall on who he's going against and what it all looks like, and overall it was good. I think he hit 100 miles an hour in that game. So I don't think the stuff was appreciably different or worse. So I don't think I'm just not ready to go there yet. I mean, it's something to watch. I'm not telling you not to watch it. But he put them in position to win that game. The Astros game was different. That one was different. He gets slapped around a little in that game, which has not happened to him this year. I would also tell you, though, that, and we looked this up, when Houston came in here, if you remember, they held him out of the Astros series the first time. They skipped him. They skipped over him. Houston, when Crochet was with the White Sox, Houston hit him. That was one of the teams that's given him the hardest time. In fact, I'll tell you what, this is what we'll do. Let's take a quick break. Kevin Majori will get you caught up on headlines, and I'll look up his career numbers against the Astros. I also want to get to the realignment story of Major League Baseball that Rob Manfred put out there on Sunday Night Baseball last night. We'll touch on that as well. Here's Majori with your headlines.
with Tony Maz on the Sports Hub.
In my mind, I think if we expand, it provides us with an opportunity to geographically realign. I think we could save a lot of wear and tear on our players in terms of travel. And I think our postseason format would be even more appealing for, entities like ESPN, because you'd be playing up out of the East, out of the West, and that 10 o'clock time slot where we, sometimes get Boston, Anaheim, would be two West Coast teams, and that 10 o'clock slot that's a problem for us sometimes becomes a real opportunity for our West Coast audience. So I think, I think the owners realize that there's demand for Major League Baseball in a lot of great cities, and that we have an opportunity to do something good around that expansion process.
Commissioner Rob Manfred on Sunday Night Baseball talking about the prospect of expansion and potentially realignment. So I'll tell you what, just think about that for a second. The realignment would be geographical. So just for a point of note, the Red Sox would be in the same division with, potentially, the Yankees, the Mets, the Phillies, and the Blue Jays, although there are different scenarios, one of which includes the Blue Jays, one does not. But it could be a 4-team division with Boston, the 2 New York teams, and Philly. I'm curious as to how fans feel about that, whether they'd be for it or against it. Remember that there's no real difference between the National League and American League anymore. Effectively, what this would mean is formal eradication of the American League and the National League. Formal eradication, but I think we already have it informally. Again, the rules are the same, and there's interleague play. So we don't really have an American League and National League anymore. I mean, we do. For the playoffs, it's based on American League and National League. They would realign and change and put East and West. You'd have it like the NBA or the NHL, Eastern and Western, to a degree the NFL, but that's really more, AFL or AFC and NFC. Used to be AFL, but you get the idea. But I'm curious, if the Red Sox were in a division with the Yankees, the Mets, and the Phillies, maybe even the Blue Jays, are you for or against? I'll tell you what I think here in a minute. First, we'll get back to your calls. Sean in Marlboro. Sean, what do you got?
Hey, so really quick on the realignment, I think you could do it in a way where you keep teams like Baltimore is close enough to Philly and Washington. You could keep Baltimore, like you could kind of keep rivalries together, at least in the East, the Northeast. But my thought on the Red Sox pitching, what if we cut or sent down Campbell and brought up a starter to make 1, 2, maybe 3 starts, have 6 pitchers in the starting rotation, then option them back down and bring up a reliever for September in the playoff run?
Okay, Sean, I before you confuse people too much, I think you're making it too complicated. Okay, you want to add a 6th starter, what have you, et cetera, and on occasion you can do that if guys need a rest or whatever. How about just get rid of Campbell and bring up someone who can pitch in the middle innings? That simple. Out with Campbell. Give me a young guy in the minor leagues who's ready to contribute. And if not, give me someone other than Campbell who throws harder. They're all obsessed with velocity, and yet Campbell's on the staff because of the spin rate, and all he does is throw breaking balls. 70% sliders, sweepers, and curves. 70%. Holy crap. And he's been here now for 2 seasons, in and out, but parts of 2 seasons. He's been in the organization for 2 years. His ERA is over 11. Why is he here? Why do they have him? If he can't pitch in that game Saturday, he can't pitch. Not in a game of consequence for a team that's in a playoff race. Jake's in Rhode Island. Jake, go ahead.
Hey, listen, just 2 quick things. I know it yesterday seemed like a glaring loss. They did take the series, but I think the real thing was it was an alarm bell for all of the fans that if they make it to the playoffs, which they are a playoff team, there's nobody in the bullpen beyond Chapman that can handle that. And my question really is, do you think they have a plan for like Peyton Tolley or Harrison maybe to come up or something for the playoffs?
So I wouldn't bet on Tolley. We're talking about a 22-year-old. the guy they got from the Giants, Kyle Harrison, would be more likely. I wouldn't rule that one out. I mean, he's been a professional now for a couple of years. So that one I would give a possibility. There's been talk of David Sandlin. In theory, you'd have Slayton back. And remember that if you get into the postseason, you're not going to need 5 starters. You're only going to need 4. So someone else will end up in the bullpen. Okay, but that's true of everybody. It's not like you have an advantage over other teams. In the short term, what I would tell you is they got to find a way to get some more help in that bullpen now. Because Isaiah Campbell, the ripple effect of Isaiah Campbell hurt them. And listen, this sounds like I'm beating up Isaiah Campbell. I'm not beating up Isaiah Campbell. I'm beating up the Red Sox for not having a better option than Isaiah Campbell. The Red Sox are too good an organization to have a guy on their staff in the middle of a playoff race who ranks 777th in ERA among 780 pitchers with at least 14 innings in the big leagues. Okay, and that's over the last 2 years. He should not be pitching, and that's in any games of consequence. Jay on Long Island. Go ahead, Jay.
Hey, Maz. I love the realignment. Give me more New York Mets and Yankees. I think it's wonderful for traveling to see teams. I want to know if everybody pitches, if every team in the American League pitches, and I want your opinion, pitches to the best of their ability. Predict how the rest of the season goes, who wins the AL Championship, who's in the World Series, and where do the Red Sox land? If everybody pitches to the best of their...
Yeah, Jay, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. Look, if you're asking me, you say if everybody pitches to the best of their ability. Well, not everyone's going to pitch to the best of their ability. So if you ask me right now, if I'm picking and I have to pick who do I think the best team is among those 3 of New York, Seattle, and Boston, I'm going with Seattle. I think Seattle's got the best pitching. They've reinforced their lineup with a couple of big acquisitions at the deadline. And I think Boston and New York are relatively short when it comes to some of the other stuff. Now, I think they're all probably going to make the playoffs. But don't kid yourselves. The Red Sox can still blow this. They've got about a 3-game lead, I think it is, over the Indians in the loss column for what would be the final wild card spot. Cleveland is about 3.5 games behind Seattle, New York, and Boston. Oh, they can blow it. The Red Sox can still blow that. They're not, again, especially when, they've had difficulty on the road and they have 20 road games left, only 17 home games. So again, after these couple with the Orioles, they're only going to have 15 home games left. And on the road, they've been a losing team. They're 7 games under. Let's go to Dominic in a car. Dominic, go ahead.
Hi. Just on the realignment, I think if the Red Sox were in that division with the 2 New York teams and Philly, I really think it forces them to spend money. I mean, you can't rely on Roman Anthony and Marcelo Mayer to help you out. I mean, you're going to need to go out and spend for a Juan Soto or a Bryce Harper, or a guy of that caliber.
Dominic, if you were here, I'd kiss you. I said this today on Felger and Maz, and this was my takeaway from the whole thing, which is why, by the way, I love the idea. If you put, and years ago when they talked about realignment in Major League Baseball, this was one of the scenarios they talked about. One of them was to group the teams by revenue or, economic power, spending power. And they wanted to put all the superpowers together. Remember, you're already in the same division as the Yankees. But in this case, you'd be in there with the Mets, who are now one of the 3 highest, or number 2, I think, in payroll, behind only the Dodgers. The Mets, the Yankees, the Phillies, who are also in the top 5, and Toronto, who's also in the top 5. In cash spending, among the Mets, Yankees, Phillies, and Toronto, the only other team in the top 5 is the Dodgers. So you're not going to end up in the same division as the Dodgers. But the Northeast would be stacked. And again, you'd have wild card scenarios, so more than one team could make the playoffs. But if the schedule is imbalanced at all, and it will be, right now you play 13 games in the division. It's not as bad as it used to be where you played 19, but 13 still a lot. You'd have to play 4 times 13, 52. That's if it's a 5-team division. 52 of your 162 would be against the Yankees, Mets, Phillies, and Blue Jays, all of whom have payrolls at or near $300 million this year. The Red Sox would have to spend to keep up with those. Now, again, I don't know how, there'd be all kinds of negotiations about revenue sharing and what have you. There is one thing, though, that I think Rob Manfred is wrong about. Here's the beginning of that comment again. Jimmy, go ahead. I'll tell you where to stop.
In my mind, I think if we expand, it provides us with an opportunity to geographically realign. I think we could save a lot of wear and tear on our players.
Wear and tear on the players. I don't think that is a priority for MLB. I think they have more business interest than that. He's trying to sell it to the players and say, look, it'll be easier travel for you because a lot of your road games now would be New York twice and each team twice. So in other words, you make 4 trips to New York, 2 for the Yankees, 2 for the Mets, Philadelphia short flight, Toronto short flight. The players will like it. It's a good way to sell them on it. You know what else it does? It cuts down on some travel costs. You're going to be in the air shorter. Maybe you save on fuel if that factors in. I mean, you're still going to make a trip out to the West Coast. They get some TV programming out of it in the playoffs. You can get West Coast against West Coast, eliminate the travel during the playoffs until the World Series, which is what happens in the NBA. You get the idea. Win-win-win for everybody. I don't think, though, the wear and tear on the players is as big a factor as he wants you to believe it is. We'll wrap it up with your calls when we come back on the Baseball Hour, and I do just want to get to Marcelo Mayer. We'll do that as well.
This is with Tony Maz on the Sports Hub.
Let's start off with Marcelo. He decided he's going to have surgery. The details of it, we're going to send it later on. We don't have the date yet, but yesterday he talked to Brandon, and the shot wasn't working, so he'll have it. For what I'm talking to Brandon, it's a 3-month recovery. He should be fine if everything goes well for spring training.
It's Alex Cora on Marcelo Mayer. Done for the year. And this has been reported. It's out there, so it's not anything new. But I'll emphasize it because this part is important. This guy's been hurt every year he's been a professional. Every year. He's never played more than 91 games in any season. Something to watch. As I said about players in the past, and he breaks. Some players are durable, and baseball's a game of durability. So you're going to have ups and downs. Trevor Story is very streaky. But the fact that you're in the lineup every day, basically, and on the field, there's great value in that. There's stability in that. In a sport like baseball, it means something. You're going to lose some. You're going to have slumps. It happens. You got to be out there. And if Marcelo Mayer is a 90-game-a-year player, he's not worth keeping. Okay? He's worth trading. Let someone else. Now, again, there's no way to predict that, but you got to make that judgment. We'll squeeze in a couple of calls here before we go. Rich and Milbury on Isaiah Campbell. Just quickly, Rich.
Yes. Hey, yes, Campbell, I'm willing to chip in for a one-way bus ticket for him. Where can I send a check?
Yeah, okay. You can start it if you want. You do like a GoFundMe. Get Isaiah Campbell out of town. But again, let me make this part clear, because now I feel bad like we're kicking the crap out of Isaiah Campbell. It's really not his fault. He shouldn't be here. It's a roster decision. Isaiah Campbell is a borderline, if that, big league pitcher. He should not be pitching in any games of consequence. And I'd like to think the Red Sox, for that kind of spot, a fringe spot, could have someone that they could bring along developmentally, that you could put in a situation like that and might have better stuff than Campbell does. Lenny in Rhode Island. Go ahead, Lenny.
Yeah, why don't they just put all the West Coast teams in one division?
Yeah, Lenny, they're going to do that too. That's part of the geographical alignment. They would put West Coast teams together, East Coast teams together, Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, Southeast. You get the idea? It's all going to be geographical. So it all goes hand in hand. I just didn't give you the breakdown of the whole thing because, who gives a rat's ass what division the Angels are in? For the Red Sox purposes, it's the American League, Northeast rather, with the Mets, the Yankees, the Phillies, and the other one was the Blue Jays, but it might just be the Red Sox, Mets, Yankees, and Phillies. Quickly, Mike on the Cape. Go ahead, Mike.
Tony, don't you think that Manfred's going out there and part of his expansion or part of this realignment of 2 expansion teams so he can go to the players and say, hey, look, I'm creating 52 new jobs for you, and all you guys, you don't have to take, these long plane rides anymore. Oh, by the way, you're going to have a salary cap.
Yeah, so look, Mike, I'm going to guess that those two things are unrelated. So, and they can't put the salary cap in without the cooperation of the players. The expansion, I think they can do without them. I mean, I don't think they need the approval of the players' union to create more jobs. The union would always be for that. But in terms of realignment and things like that, they might need the players. Now, he might try to sell the players on that as a trade. The historically speaking, the salary cap for the players has been a non-starter. My point is, they may try to connect the two, but they're not really related. And they don't have to be part of the bargaining agreement. I don't think. Anyway, top of the hour here, Joe Murray coming in. He'll have you for the balance of the night. Majority's got your headlines. We'll catch you tomorrow.